If you've ever visited museums or art galleries, you've probably noticed that it's often very dark with little to no windows. Why is this the case? The reason is light exposure is one of the many things that cause damage to artworks and artifacts. Today, I'm going to briefly explain how damage occurs and what institutions do to try to prevent it from happening. Light can cause damage to many different types of materials such as paper, canvas, photographs, leather, wood, inks, paints, and dyes. These materials deteriorate due to chemical reactions that occur when light waves interact with and excite the molecules on the surface of an object. It is important to know that light damage is cumulative. This means the more exposure there is, the more likely an artwork is to be damaged. Damage can be caused by natural sunlight as well as artificial light sources. Artworks and artifacts are not only affected by visible radiation, but also by ultraviolet and infrared radiation. As we know, visible light, UV and IR, make up just a small range of the electromagnetic spectrum, with ultraviolet being on one end of the spectrum having relatively short wavelengths, visible light in the middle, and infrared with the longer wavelengths. The shorter the wavelength, the more energy it emits, which results in higher damage to the artwork or artifact. This is why UV light having the shortest wavelength caused the most intense damages in a shorter period of time. Hence why museums and galleries limit the amount of sunlight coming into exhibition spaces, as well as put UV filters in most light fixtures. When artworks are damaged by light radiation, it not only results in fading, but it could also result in yellowing, bleaching, cracking, weakening, and buckling. These damages are also permanent and, in most cases, irreversible, which is why conservationists and other museum workers focus on preventative measures that try their best to ensure damages don't occur in the first place. So museums generally have a set optimal level for displaying different types of art. Light levels are generally measured with a light meter, and the unit of measurement is lux. Different materials have different sensitivity to light, and therefore there's different types of optimal levels depending on what your material is. For example, oil paintings are usually displayed at 150 lux, while watercolors and prints and drawings on paper are displayed at less than 50 lux, which is very dim. In comparison, a typical office space is about 500 lux. Other than dimming the lights, museums and galleries also use other measures to try to prevent light damage. Many artworks, especially the more vulnerable ones, are displayed on a rotation, being only on public view for maybe just a few months at a time. Most museum light fixtures are on a computer-controlled system that switch off when the museum is closed. Some use motion sensor lights that only switch on when a person walks into the display space. Some just simply cover up artworks with curtains. And since the recent advent of LED technology, many galleries and museums have also switched over to using LED fixtures, and LED lamps do not emit ultraviolet or infrared. What I've just talked about is just a very brief overview about damage prevention. In the description, I'm going to include a few links to additional sources and reading that you could do if you want to learn more about conservation and light damage prevention. Thanks again for watching, and if you haven't subscribed, please, I encourage you to do so. Please feel free to also leave your suggestions and questions in the comments.